Fuzzy Wenzel from the Woodshed Agency, and you're listening to a new episode of Successfully Funded. Here we go. Let's turn it up. Hey everybody, hope you guys are doing well. I am Jeff Fuzzy Wenzel, CEO of Woodshed Agency and the host of this podcast, Successfully Funded. So if this is your first time checking in on some of this content, well, what we do is we talk to project creators while they're in the middle of a campaign. And that way we give the most up-to-date information on what you guys got to do to be successful for your campaigns. And somebody is opening the door and coming in. Come on in. We got our first guest tonight. Yeah. The sign does say. So, yes. So, what we do, we like to talk to project creators while they're in the middle of a campaign, or their campaign is just finished up, and that way we have the most up-to-date information on what you got to do to be successful for your campaigns, right? And that can be in the reward-based space, equity space, even if you're just doing e-commerce. All of these things can be a huge thing just a huge undertaking to get your campaigns off the ground. So on today's episode, we have got an amazing one. So let's go check it out right now over on Kickstarter. We're looking at this animated series, and I'm telling you right now, this is like a unicorn to me. You just don't see Kickstarter campaigns in this category doing this amount of money. This is just a really good campaign. It's an animated series, and apparently it's a book over in France that is well known. It's sort of been like the Harry Potter space from what it was described to me. So very intriguing campaign. And we're going to be talking to the creator of this project coming up in just a little bit. So with all that said, what else is going on around here? Well, man, we just finished up that Easter. Woo, that was a lot of mixing for me this weekend. A lot of stuff going on, but it was a good time. It was good to it was like a marathon, and my ears really aren't in shape yet for this. So I used to do five services a weekend all the time, but we haven't done that since the old pandemic. So a lot of stuff going on in the old church world, mixing it all up, making it sound good. But it was a really good weekend. But yeah, so just a lot of stuff. We just got back from a nice walk. It's super nice out, man. It's spring, right? It's all of this spring energy. Man, I'm still waiting though. I'm assuming at some point that we are going to get the old, we're going to get the old snowstorm, like the April snowstorm, right? After everybody puts everything away. Hopefully not. But hey, you never know. You never know. So again, thank you guys all for joining in here. I'm going to flip over here in just a second over to our interview. But also know, at the end of this episode, I've got a special treat. I've got the band The Beggars, who did GBS Detroit about 8 years ago. So that's going to be coming up at the end of the episode. So make sure you guys stay tuned. But with all that said, why don't we go ahead and talk about some links, right? So if you are thinking about running a crowdfunding campaign, you got to do a couple things. One, you got to go over to woodshed.agency. We've got a ton of valuable information there. First thing you do, read our blog. Every Tuesday, we've got a new blog that comes out. And there's tons and tons of valuable information in there. If that's not enough, you need more, subscribe to this podcast. Go and smash this subscribe button. Well, maybe that. Smash that subscribe button. That's what you guys got to do. That helps out immensely. Leave a review, tell your friends and family, all that sort of stuff. Again, if you're thinking about running a campaign, back some of these campaigns. Become what we call a Gawker backer. And you can find this on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, wherever it might be. So a lot of stuff out there. And if that doesn't work, click our community button and join the conversations over on Discord. We've got a great community of people over there, and we're always talking about stuff. So maybe just join there. And I'm going to give one more. This Thursday night at 8 o'clock, join us over on Clubhouse. If you're not on Clubhouse, go jump in over there. We're going to be talking about why you shouldn't run a Kickstarter campaign. Yeah, that's what I said. So Sean and I are going to get into the weeds on what that's going to look like. So again, 8 o'clock, Clubhouse. If you need an invite, shoot me a message, jeff@woodshed.agency. I'll get you an invite. And yeah. So that's a lot of stuff, right? A lot of information for you guys to go and jump into. But okay, I think that's enough. Why don't we jump into my interview, right? That's why you guys are all here anyways. You don't want to hear me talk. Let's jump into our interview. ladies, the red light's on. This is when a lot of people get really nervous. Is everybody feeling okay? It's a podcast. Everybody's good. Okay, we're all good. Good. Awesome. Well, let's do a simple sound check here. Why don't both of you introduce yourselves and tell us what you had for breakfast this morning?
Oh, yeah, really. Okay, so my name is Sophie Saget, and I am the CEO of Ondata Pictures, and I'm also the producer of EWILAN'S, the project we launched on Kickstarter. Maybe Tatiana, you can introduce yourself, and then I speak about my breakfast.
Well, I didn't have breakfast, so it's very easy. Nice. My name is Tatiana Kober, and I have a company called Bajuba Entertainment that is a distribution company selling to broadcasters and platforms around the world. But we also are an executive production company where we help to get series financed with producers and production companies around the world. So we specialize in co-production and financing and pre-sales.
Awesome. What did you have for breakfast then, Sophie?
Usually I only take a coffee at work, but today, because it's Friday, everybody, the whole team bring a lot of stuff to eat. So I ate way too much things.
Awesome. Well, cool. Well, I think we're sounding good. Why don't we jump right into it? So, why don't we talk a little bit about what this actual Kickstarter is? So again, this is, nobody at this point, maybe nobody has seen it yet or hasn't seen the campaign. Can you sort of visually kind of describe what the project is and what you're raising money for over on Kickstarter?
So we are a producer of animation series. So the project is in development. It's the adaptation of French books. Actually, three trilogy and a huge saga, kind of our Harry Potter. So we really believe on that project. We want to do that in animation, and for that we are trying to find subsidies. Ask for the fan community. Yeah, it's also it books and comic books released in the US, the comic books. So yeah, we are trying to find money to help us going on developing that project.
So this is a French book. Is that what it is that you're turning into an animated series? Is that what I heard?
That's it.
And
yeah.
Is this a book that's like well known? It's something that like most people know about. I guess I've never heard of it. So that's where I am. So is it something that's like well known over in France?
Yes, it's a bestseller in France, and it's a trilogy and then a series of trilogies. And when I was unfamiliar with it, being from Canada, and when my colleague at work mentioned the series, she was patting on her heart and saying, "Oh my God, this was my favorite book as a child," and it's a sweeping saga that's glorious and pulls a lot of heartstrings in France and in Europe and around the world.
So how does it come? I would say, how does it come together that we're turning it into an animated series, this book, like in terms of the if it's an older property, it sounds like how does it start to, where does the animation sort of fit into it?
Because I like the books and I only know how to do animation, so that's why I'm turning it into animation series. But it also could go into like live action adaptation. It could also work with that. It's heroic fantasy, so yeah, that's really something cool to draw and to animate.
So, so I talk to a lot of people who, might turn a popular TV show into a board game or something along those lines, but how does it go about just kind of putting the project together to be able to use the property and say, I want to do this. I want to go on Kickstarter and stuff in terms of like the rights and the ability to actually do this. Is that something that you guys have done before in the past? Like you've turned in other projects into different mediums?
I have experience in producing animation series. I do that for now 15 years. So I just started my own company 3 years ago, and that was a project I want to do. There is others, but that one is the main one. And so I go I contacted the publisher and I obtained the rights, and of course I pay for it. So yeah, that's a lot of investment for me to adapt this property.
And what are you looking for in terms of something to work on, in terms of like, all right, I know this has a built-in audience or a story, or is it something that you're relating to on a personal level, or whatever it is? What are you kind of looking for to say, I think this would work really well by me putting my skill sets on it?
Because it's a bit like Harry Potter meeting the Lord of the Rings. So I know it could work, but in France, it's really difficult for us because of our small market to go on such high saga. And that's why Tatiana is here, because you have this strength on your market on the US to help us also achieve that on our IPs.
That's cool. That's cool. So what's, I guess, after you get access to the property, what starts the process? I mean, again, somebody I've never made anything animated. So like, you could just start sketching some stuff, or do you already have some ideas in your mind? Just what's the kind of the first steps out of the gate before, way before you're even into a Kickstarter?
The first thing is to find a good writer who know how to adapt, who know the books, who want to read it, or who already know the books, and you can work with that writers or several writers on like what could be the adaptation, how we could split the book into episodes. If there are some problems in the book, we can fix by doing the adaptation. Some things aren't working that way, or we need to. There is a lot of description in the books, and we cannot say that in a movie, so we need to transform that a bit. So a writer is the key, and then of course we cast some designers, some character designers and background designers. So it started with a mood board. I was there saying, okay, I want this level of quality. I want it to look like a bit cinematographic. So I want a high-end quality in the final image. So yeah, we cast the graphic team, and then we start working together to have a first material called a pitch Bible, and with that we can find broadcasters or more partners.
Gotcha. That sounds like a process. Now, is it something that you're like, in terms of like the writers, like you have people that that you've worked with in the past, their style, their feel, or is it something that you're sort of just kind of looking for, or putting out a request to say, I'm looking for somebody that does X, Y, and Z, or do you have like a team of people that you just know these people will deliver?
Yeah, it depends. But as I said, we didn't go that much on this kind of genre in France. We have a lot of writers of comedy or not thriller, but police. So yeah, that was a bit difficult to find writers who know how to write heroic fantasy sagas, etc.
And do you have to? Is there any sort of like a lost in translation scenario in terms of like, well, this was a French story, but we want this to go to the United States? And are you writing and adjusting and tweaking the story a little bit to fit, my kids over here who are in Detroit who may not know the story, or is it more like, no, we're keeping it to the original as much as possible?
I don't know. We watch a lot of American movies, so we have that culture. So I'm not sure we really have to think in a different way. Yeah.
But certainly, we are looking. We have the French writers, but we're also looking around to see who else would work for the property based on who we're pitching it to as well. So, the storytelling in Europe is pretty similar to storytelling in North America, but definitely there will be other people that will come on with eyes on it depending on where it goes.
Right. Interesting. And are you putting in your mind a, you know, in the product design, you'd have like a buyer persona, like this is who we're targeting. Are you thinking about that when it comes to the way the look of the animation is? Because the video on Kickstarter, it looks amazing, but are you saying, hey, this is a age 15 and older, or this is in this range? Like, are you thinking about this stuff at this point, or are you just more being creative and then thinking about the audience afterwards?
I wanted to be a family program, co-viewing, and we are inspired by the Disney movie, Pixar, Ghibli, and by the cinema.
Mm-hmm. So you're really at this point, you have something in your mind that you're going after and saying, it's for this type of audience. It sounds like, right, then at this point.
Yeah, I think if we succeed in making a series that we want to watch it, I think it can have the same effect on everybody else. Like, if I like what I do, if we think what we do is really cool, I think we put some of that energy in the show, and it produces the same effect, I guess. That's really a feeling.
And for you particularly, when you're putting this team together, because again, I think it's super important for anybody on any project, when you're putting the people around you, what are you looking for in terms of, maybe work ethics, energy, creativity? What are you trying to add to your team to get this project off the ground?
I don't know. Just we are trying to put everybody around the table, and everybody speaks for himself, and everybody is adding something to the show. Even if you are not a writer, you can say something about the script. Even if you're not a car designer and you are a writer, you can like discuss about the car design. So yeah, everybody is improving in his own way the development, because it's not a series yet, but I hope it will be someday.
That's cool. Right. And you want the dynamic of the team to be strong. I mean, you're assembling the team that you need to put together an animation series, and then making sure you have the right power and street cred attached, the right voices, writing wise, and that the whole thing has a good energy and synergy.
Yeah. I come from the creative space, recording studios and songwriting. So it's just, that energy is so important in this creation process, and one person can literally just, kill it.
It's a marriage for sure that you're binding in. And animation, it takes a long time to put an animated series together, as opposed to a live action where you're in and out in a few months and shooting. This is multiple years.
Yep. Well, that's a great transition, because even for my band projects, we actually made animations for everything. This is a long time ago, before computers were as fast as they were. So that trailer that's on the Kickstarter, like, what's the time process that went into just a minute 30? Like, what was, just how much time has been put into just that portion of it at this point?
I think we spent like 6 months working on that teaser, and it cost like more than 100,000 euros. So that was a lot to produce. But we did that maybe 1.5 years ago, I guess. So it took us a lot of time to put strength together and make this go further. Even if there is a teaser, we need to also have the scenarios, the script needs to be at that level of quality, same as the teaser. So there is a lot of work to go through before succeeding in having a broadcaster on board.
Yeah. This may be way in the weeds for my audience, but like, how do you guys when projects take this long and technology is moving so fast, how do you guys like not go back to be like, oh, there's a new plugin that does this thing. We should go back and, fix the thing we did 2 years ago. And, because again, I've worked in the animation world a little bit for myself, and I would be like, oh my gosh, if we could only go back and do this, as opposed to just keep it going forward. You know what I mean? It just takes time, right? Even these Pixar movies take sometimes forever. How do you sort of self-manage yourself to not always, oh, we should go back and fix or adjust or put this filter on it?
Well, actually, it's always time to fix things, because that's what development is. So even if the teaser is like that, we can do better when it goes into production. So that was not the first episode. That's only a teaser. So yeah, we can completely improve it and go with a new technology, and yeah.
That's cool. So when does Kickstarter fit into this? Because also animation and Kickstarter kind of don't go hand in hand. It's not like a tech product or a board game. So when does the conversations of running a campaign start to pop in?
There is a lot of fans here in France, and they always ask us, how can we help? We really want to watch the series, and it's not produced yet. So they are, they are kind of in a rush, and they're always nudging us like, we want to watch it, we want to help, we want to give you money, we want to make things go further. So yeah, that was kind of an answer to them. Like, we are running a Kickstarter, and if you want to help, you can, and plus you can have object like these. So yeah. And it always helps us to go further, to have more money, of course.
Yeah.
Right. And it's also a great promotional tool to say, look, we did this campaign as we go to the broadcast platforms, to say this series and these books are still hugely relevant, because look at what we were able to raise in this amount of time.
Right.
And there is absolutely interest, and you have comment sections. So it's a wonderful tool too.
Yeah.
And it does work. Like, as you say, animation isn't necessarily a huge part of crowdfunding, but it is really an interesting area if it works.
Yeah. Yeah. And as you're, kind of going through this, what are you thinking in your mind that you need to put together to display on Kickstarter why you're raising capital, right? Like, especially if these are bigger stories that a lot of people know, why not just go and get some investors? Like what are you looking at? Like, all right, we need to create the trailer, we need to create images, we need to create copy. Like, what are you thinking about that you need to put together to have a successful campaign?
To have to do better in the Kickstarter. That's it. How can we improve the campaign to be stronger in the Kickstarter, you mean?
No, not how you improve. I mean, your campaign is doing really, really well right now. It's a great campaign. I'm just talking about, like, as you're thinking about, we're going to do a Kickstarter campaign, what assets are you starting to put together to tell this story to actually raise the money? Because again, a lot of projects fail. So what are you looking for in terms of, all right, this is the right trailer, or this is this part of the story we want to use. These are the images, the rewards, all that sort of stuff. When do you start gathering all that information?
We try to step in the shoes of the fans, like what they want to possess. And there is this jewel in EWILAN'S quest, which is this la sphère graphe. And so, yeah, if I was a fan, and I am, so it's pretty easy to feel that way. But I would like to have that jewel. So that's obviously something we need to give them in the Kickstarter campaign. And the story, well, it's just like telling the story of EWILAN'S quest, do a kind of a sum up of the books, and trying to put what we like in the story, and give that put that on the Kickstarter page.
That's cool. And what starts happening in terms of pre-launch to get people excited? I mean, you guys had a really good first couple days of the campaign. So how did you know that you were ready to launch? Like, what were you looking for any data points, or did you just pick a date on the board? When did you know you were ready?
We communicated a lot previous to the campaign, like 1 month before the campaign. And we also sent a lot of press kits to different, well, not newspaper, but some YouTubers, we do a really big preparation and communicate a lot about the project before launching the Kickstarter campaign.
Cool. Well, we actually haven't even talked numbers yet, but as of today, when we're talking, you still have 13 days to go, but you're over 2,100 backers, which is a lot of backers. And I'm in US dollars. So I'm looking at about just under 162 or just over, over $162,000, which is a huge campaign in this category on Kickstarter. So what has been the thing that has stood out the most in this campaign that maybe you just didn't think of? Like, is there something that's been, just, wow, I did not expect us to, have a whole bunch of US backers or whatever it might be. Has there been something that's just been kind of crazy that you didn't expect?
Actually, there is no so much of US backers, so you can spread the world and spread the world, sorry. Yeah. and find us more backers, more US backers. No, yeah, actually, it's really it's mostly French fans who wanted to have the goodies, and they are backing and backing and backing again to have the more goodies they can. So yeah,
that's cool. And what has been maybe, in terms of just keeping communication going? You guys have done a great job with updates and stuff. How are you sort of managing and handling comments that are coming in, questions that are coming in, and just sort of, the day-to-day grind of running one of these Kickstarter campaigns?
We have a community manager. I had to hire one because, as I said, there is a lot of fans and they want to answer. They're really pushing us. So we also created a Discord for them to discuss together, to do fan arts, etc. Yeah. And
then what's going to start happening? So I mean, the campaign goes another 13 days. It takes a couple of weeks for the money to all drop from Kickstarter. But what starts the process then in terms of getting the rewards out to people? Starting, what comes next?
After the campaign or in the day remaining?
Nope, after the campaign ends.
After the campaign. So yeah, we are planning to launch a fabrication of all the goodies and that's it. Sorry.
Well, what has to happen in terms of the actual animation series? Like, is it? Oh. I mean, do you start making one full episode that you start shopping? Do you?
Oh yeah, we want to go on with the development. We are writing scripts for now. We'd like to write like 4 scripts, 4 episodes. And we are planning on making it a whole animatic of a 26-minute episode. So yeah, there is a lot of work to achieve. We already work on the music team, like all the characters teams in terms of music. So we already did that. And with all that material, we hope we can have a huge broadcaster on board. So that's,
and what does that look like right now? I mean, it feels like there's a lot of opportunities since there's so many different channels and, just potential. I mean, even in our world, we've done documentaries that have been picked up by, an HBO, a Vimeo, an Amazon. There's just so many potential buyers. Is there something that you guys are specifically looking for? Like, we want to be on a, Cartoon Network, or we want to be on so-and-so. Is there channels that you're specifically wanting to target?
Tatiana, your mic is off. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. There's broadcast targets in mind, and also in France, there's because the project is beloved in France.
Mhm.
It's got its targets in mind. Do you want to say who you've got, Sophie? Or
Yeah. We are with France Television doing the development, but we need a worldwide partner.
that's right.
So yeah, we are discussing with all the streamers, but as this IP is not known yet worldwide, it's really difficult. So that's also the Kickstarter can also help us to go there and show to the streamer that there is interest, and even if it's not an IP yet, it could become one.
Right.
And
what's that process even look like? Is it just, I mean, obviously the Kickstarter is going to help, but like, is it, I guess I'm thinking back, we're always shopping kind of finished documentaries quite a bit, but like, are you showing off just like one episode and just hoping to get, partners and whatnot?
well, there's the whole package, which Sophie is working in. What this Kickstarter campaign will also help to bolster. We have been speaking to the development executives along the way, so they're aware of the project. And as we continue to develop it and bring more juicy bits, we're hoping to entice, but it's certainly being tracked by people around the world.
That's awesome. That's really great.
Yeah.
And then for, I guess, how do you guys sort of project maybe this next year looking like? Is it just, back to the drawing board and, just keep making more stuff? Is it rewriting scripts? Is it all just shopping at this point? Obviously you'll have giving the rewards out to people at this point, but like, just what does kind of a year look like moving forward after this?
Yeah, we'd like to go into production this year, maybe by the end of the year, but that really depends on the, do we have the trust of a streamer? Do they discover, do they think the IP is worth the try? And yeah, we'd like to go on the development in the meanwhile, and using the Kickstarter to keep producing materials still with the goal that we have to convince broadcasters and then launch the production of the series by the end of the year. And
That's cool.
Maybe you can be able to watch it in next year, maybe.
Yeah.
Next year.
And I guess this is for my own self-knowledge here. Like, is it similar to like a TV series where they would buy like a 12-part, a season 1 or a 26 episodes or something? Like, is that how the animation world would approach something like this?
Yes.
Is that how?
Yes. So the series is broken into 3 segments to cover the trilogy. So it's the first 8 episodes make up season 1, and the second 8 season 2. So it ends on a cliffhanger. So the idea is to get somebody to buy in completely, but because you're dealing with such a massive amount of money, you're dealing with an amount of an investment, you want to make sure that season 1 gets the audience you want so that you can get on with it.
Right.
So yes, absolutely. It's something that is, you're selling it as that package.
And maybe just, for a question for you here, what are numbers even in the ballpark of? I mean, there's just so much content, right? Just in general, like so much content in the world. I think back to my rock and roll days of like, man, if you sold like 20,000 units on your own, you'd get noticed, like, but is it social media followers? Is it, obviously Kickstarter is a notch in this stuff, but like, what are just general numbers of like, man, people want to see this type of community and audience before they're going to commit a season or, the amount of money? Like, just what are some general numbers in this world?
In terms of what numbers they'd want to see in order to trigger a commission?
Would it be, social media followers, right? Or it's, you got a ton of Instagram, you got influencers, your team is really good. You just have a really good team and a good IP. Like,
right.
Is it just that?
I think it's a number of, it's all the things mixed together, and really getting an executive that shares the passion for the project and has the vision and sees that you have the vision, to pull it off, because it's a very competitive world at the moment. And they want to know that you have that team in place that's going to be able to produce produce what you need. Certainly that the series stems from a very popular book series is
Right.
already a big
Yeah.
tip, because they want to know that it's a brand, and has a familiarity there, and that the graphic novels have been published in the US in English is a good, that the actual written books haven't had an English publication, but working on that and looking at that. So they want to know that there's that whole package that's being developed, but also that the story, that the story and the creative is good, and this is a good, strong team.
Yeah, interesting.
Right.
And I mean, at this point, there's got to be so many channels that it could potentially even live on, right? Like it could be on Facebook's got a new channel or something, or TikTok's got some new thing, like, or in your mind, are you saying, no, this is for, traditional TV and Netflix, Hulu, what, like, do you want to stay at that sort of level? Or is it like, oh, no, we'll put this, this could be anywhere?
Actually, it's always like they are pre-buying the show, so with their money we can make it. And if it's like broadcasted on Facebook, I'm not that sure we can have enough money to make the show, because it's like, I don't know, it would be like 150 person working for more than a year. So that's really huge.
Yeah.
And the aspiration for the series is high. Sophie wants to produce a really high-end, high-quality production. So for that, the budget is high.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's just such an interesting content, right? It's just that it's a content conversation of it. Right. It could be a really popular YouTube channel. I don't know, it's like, but is that just where people would even, where would the consumers even do that? And kind of goes back to some of my earlier questions of like, who is this audience? Where are they consuming? This is not even close, but I watched this little animated thing on TikTok and it's hilarious. It's like this little penguin chef thing, and it's just hilarious. And it's 90 seconds, but it's claymation, right? And I know that it took forever, but it's like I watch it in 60-second chunks and I laugh. Right. And it's like, that's content. So it's interesting.
And it's really interesting, actually, how there are all these different platforms and what you can be producing for, that what are your aspirations right now? The aspirations are the big platforms, because we want to make it cinematic and gorgeous, right, and sumptuous and a joy to watch. So, but there's certainly things that are being developed that are just in mind for a YouTube audience. So
right. Yeah.
It's less budget, right? So
yeah. It's interesting. It's attention spans, right? All of our attention spans. Well, that's awesome. So I guess what then for you guys are you envisioning, even let's go like 3 to 5 years out? I mean, is it something that like, just story. I mean, you guys are envisioning the story getting bigger and bigger, and the audience getting larger. Do you see your team getting better? Just what's the dream? What's just this sitting around going, this is the big dream. The Kickstarter kicked it off, and this is where we are 3 to 5 years from now.
I want to be the French Pixar. I guess.
That's a good one. That's good.
If you can dream of it, you can do it. Walt Disney said something like that.
I think so. Yeah. I think something along those lines. I probably have sent that quote out somewhere on an Instagram image at some point with a sunset. Yeah. Well, that's cool. Well, let's do a quick lightning round, and then I'll let both of you go, because I'm sure you guys are both busy on this Friday afternoon. So I'll ask both of you guys the question. We're going to do 5 quick questions here, but first one is going to be, what are you watching on TV right now? What are you watching on the Netflix, the Hulus, anything catch your eye?
I'm watching The Crown right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just watched Call My Agent. That's on Netflix at the moment.
Okay, I haven't heard that one. I know the Crown one.
It's actually a French series, so it's subtitled in English. It's called a 10%. So it's called, in French, it's called 10%, but it's about movie agents. And life, so it's actually kind of cool.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah, I'll have to, maybe I can find a crowdfunding agency show at some point. It's cool. So all right, how about are you reading anything right now? Any books or anything?
I have no book right now, which is terrible, but
that's all right.
Yeah, I'm reading books, but that's really like unveiling myself, I guess. I'm reading the Lawrence Levy book. He was the financial director of Pixar, and I'm reading the book of Edward Catmull. So also Pixar. I'm trying to dig stuff and figure it out how to achieve that, and that's really interesting. But that's more work than
That's all right. Yeah, you gotta, that's, I read a gazillion books on, Facebook ads and marketing. It's like, that is not fun to read, but how to do conversions on Facebook. Awesome. How about, are there any other podcasts that you listen to? I mean, I know both of you obviously are big fans of this one and your subscribers, but is there anything else that you're listening to?
I've been listening to, my husband introduced me to the History of the Americas. Which is Jack, I think, Henneman, and he's just doing a story. It's actually they're quite gripping. The whole stories from way back, the 1400s.
That's cool. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. How about you, Sophie? You listen to anything?
No, I'm not listening to anything. Just regular music, but I don't have time. I work too much.
All right. How about are there like blogs you guys go to, or any sort of like online, either reading material to help with marketing, or just kind of your spaces like that are just good resources?
For me, certainly looking at the trade magazines in the broadcast space, Kids Screen, because Kids Screen, World Screen News, there's C21 Animation Magazine, Cartoon Blue, a number of the places to read. I go on LinkedIn sometimes. I'm not a big LinkedIn person, but there's sometimes some interesting articles that people are posting there.
Yeah.
So, and then, the bigger trades too, looking at the dailies, you get so many daily feeds coming into your email to follow what's going on.
And has COVID had a big impact in the like space at all in terms of like these trade magazines and all, like, or did it grow? I mean, I kind of feel like animation is going to continue to grow and grow and grow, because
right,
you don't need actors in the room if potentially,
Well, it was amazing. When the animation studios started hearing about COVID, I think they all started to think about working remotely. So, it's well known that everybody sort of just flipped a switch and people work from home, and animation continued. So, but certainly commissioning has slowed down, because the traditional broadcasters had hits in advertising. People didn't know where money was going. So that definitely had a hit. We're definitely looking forward to the regular normal.
Yes, getting back to
stop working a bit and trying to go out and see friends, and
yeah. We'll see if we can get this whole world back together here a little bit and keep going. Well, I appreciate both of you guys taking time on your day. It was great conversation. amazing Kickstarter. I think my audience is going to truly dig it, because honestly, you're a little bit of a unicorn. I don't think I've ever seen an animated series raise this amount of money. So it's kudos to the job you guys are doing over there on your end. It really is a great campaign. So I wish you guys nothing but success, and go kick butt for another 13 days.
Yeah, we'll try to do that.
Cool. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for your time.
Awesome. That's how we do it, right? What a good episode. So I hope you guys have enjoyed it to this point. Remember, if you're thinking about running a crowdfunding campaign, you got to go over to woodshed.agency. Tons and tons of valuable information over there. We got blogs, podcasts, all kinds of stuff for you guys to jump into and enjoy and read and learn about this interesting space we play in, the crowdfunding space. All right. I promise you guys the beggars. That's what you guys are going to get next here. Here's the beggars live from Groovebox Studios. Remember, everything you're hearing is all in one take. And this is a good party here. All right, guys, here's the beggars live from GBS.